Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. The fifth beatitude, as found in Matthew 5:7, is, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." Mercy is explained by one Bible dictionary as the characteristic and action that come from the very nature of God. Mercy is not only what we receive from God, but it is also what is expected of those of us who, having received God's mercy, also give it freely to others. While it may be a feeling, it moves beyond mere emotion into rightful action and is a defining characteristic in the lives of those who are citizens of God's kingdom. Mercy is also very much linked to the notion of justice and righteousness. Those who hunger and thirst for God's righteousness will display in their pursuit mercy to others. Jesus was the perfect demonstration of this as he walked the earth, and his followers are called to do the same. As the merciful, we are not just to be moved by pity for the sick, the poor, the weak, or the marginalized, but we are called to act on their behalf and extend the hand of compassion, showing grace and kindness. And mercy is not about whether the recipient deserves it or not, but simply what we are called to do at all times, especially when met with opposition from others for the sake of following Jesus Christ. Mercy isn't only about compassion or kindness shown to those who may be disenfranchised, but it is also compassion and kindness graciously shown to those who may not like us. It carries with it then the idea of walking in forgiveness toward those who hurt us, and this is wonderfully demonstrated by God's mercy and forgiveness to us while we were still his enemies. We see this being powerfully demonstrated by Christ while hanging on the cross. He pleaded for forgiveness for those who were crucifying him. Stephen the deacon, while being martyred, also showed this deep compassion following his master's example and asking God to forgive those who were cruelly stoning him, including the then Saul to be the Apostle Paul. Such is the example all believers are called to follow. And this is why biblical mercy is not what man produces in himself, but what is produced by the Spirit of God. It may be easy to be kind to those we think are less fortunate than us. It may be an easy thing for some to give loose change to the beggar on the street or to pack some used clothing to send to the poor. But mercy is far more than this. Mercy is Jesus going to eat at the house of a tax collector who was shunned and despised by others. It is him stopping to touch and heal the leper when everyone else was running from him. It is his speaking kindly to the woman caught in adultery, who was about to be stoned by the religious leaders. Jesus not only spoke to her kindly, but also forgave her of her sins, thereby bringing her into a right relationship with God. This is the idea of mercy as defined by biblical principles, and it is far more than just giving financial aid or handouts. The mercy we are called to display is that which we freely receive from God: compassion, goodness, kindness, graciousness, and it sets those who receive it from us in a better standing. The parable of the Good Samaritan is a great example of what I'm talking about and what Jesus meant when he spoke about being merciful. As his sworn enemy, the Samaritan would have been justified to leave the wounded Jew to die where he had fallen, but mercy said no. Pity would have looked at him, shaken its head, and moved on, perhaps hoping that someone else like a Jew would stop and help him. But compassion moved the Samaritan to act on the man's behalf. It moved him to treat the Jew's wounds at risk of his own safety, and then to go further and at his personal expense to restore his enemy to good health until he was able to fend for himself. Mercy isn't about giving to get, but giving to meet real needs as compelled by the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' day, this concept of mercy that I'm talking about was seen as a weakness. Mercy was seen only in terms of dispensing a less severe punishment than what was originally intended. An official would be seen as showing mercy if a lenient judgment was handed down on the one deserving a strict penalty. Mercy would have been seen as allowing the poor and ailing to die because it was pointless trying to help them, since they were seen as outcast and thought as being incapable of functioning or contributing to society. Those who were old and no longer physically able to support themselves financially were seen as a drain to society, fit only to be cast aside as useless. Mercy or compassion was not something that was dispensed to such people. At best, pity may have been felt by some, but it was nothing that propelled them to act on the behalf of such people. In a world that still looks out for its own self-interest, those who are merciful will stand out as beacons in this dark world. They will indeed be salt of the earth that Christ is calling for, and this is really necessary because the world desperately needs it. Today, ask God to give you a heart like His that is full of mercy, so that you can be merciful to anyone, even to those who don't like you, or those who are unkind to you, those who hurt you. And ask God to help you to show mercy, not only in words, but also with action, knowing that those who are merciful will be shown greater mercy. And as Luke 6:36 commands us, be merciful, just as your Father in heaven is merciful. This has been Monday Morning Motivation. Join me again next week, Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning for another devotional. God bless you and have a wonderful week.